একটা জিনিস যেটা যে বইয়ের সম্পর্কে তোমাদের সবারই কোশ্চেন থাকে, তো বই আগে যে বই ছিল মোটামুটি ওই একই বইতেই চলে যাবে। এসেনশিয়াল অফ ফিজিক্যাল কেমিস্ট্রি অথবা ফিজিক্যাল কেমিস্ট্রি বল অ্যান্ড তুলি, এই দুটো বইয়েই আমাদের অংশটা, বিশেষ করে আমি যে পার্টটা পড়াচ্ছি এর মধ্যে হয়ে যাবে। এখন ম্যাডামের জন্য মনে হয় এই তিনটা এই হয়ে যাবে। তোমাদের যদি এই তিনটা বই থাকে অথবা অন্তত ফার্স্ট এর যে কোনো একটা এইটা থাকলেই হবে, এসেনশিয়াল অফ ফিজিক্যাল কেমিস্ট্রি, দ্যাট ইজ এনাফ। কারণ এইটা আর এইটা একই রাইটারের বই, তো সেক্ষেত্রে আমাদের দুইটা বই কালেক্ট করার কোনো দরকার নেই একই রাইটারের। ভিন্ন রাইটারের যদি হয় তোমরা অন্য একটা রাইটারের বই কালেক্ট করতে পারো, বাট ওয়ান ইজ এনাফ এইটা। তাহলে আর অন্য রাইটারের আর একটা বই যদি জোগাড় করতে পারো তো সেক্ষেত্রে কম্পেয়ার করতে পারবা। নাও লেটস স্টার্ট আওয়ার টুডেস টপিক। Let's see some of the photos. Here you can see the sliding in the water park or some amusing park. So when you go over or in the stairs, then you have some energy, and then when you lay down on the slide, then just immediately you can come to the end, and it's very fast. So that seems to be very spontaneous. That means just spontaneous, you can say. That is another way. You was in the top of a hill and you are jumping to the water. So in that case you don't need to have too much energy, but actually I would say if you do not apply some energy, that means if you do not jump, in that case you have some difficulty, you may fall on the rock. That is the difficulty, but actually you don't need to jump. But if you do not jump a little bit, in that case you can fall into a rock. Therefore you should jump a little bit so that you are little bit far away from the rock. But in reality you don't need, if you have some space, that just you can lay down and then you can go back. So that is the process. But if you want to climb on a mountain, that guy is climbing on a mountain, in that case you have to spend lot of energy. That means by these figures, do you have any idea what we are going to read today?
Thermodynamics.
Definitely our first chapter is thermodynamics, but already I have mentioned here spontaneous and non-spontaneous things. So if you are in the top of a hill or mountain, then just you can jump easily and you don't need to spend too much energy. So that means that is a spontaneous process. But if you want to climb on a mountain, in that case you need to spend a lot of energy. That means from outside you have to supply some energy to perform the work. So it requires some work or it requires some energy. So that is non-spontaneous process, but this one and this one are a spontaneous process. Even we can see another example. You have two containers containing maybe water. You have two containers of water and both of them are closed container. Just reading with the thermometer and there is a connection. Just you can have a valve close or open, you can open or close. So that valve contain some, both of them are equal. That means the height of the water, or maybe that can be solid also. Just we want to have the heat to flow, so you don't need to have the uh, bulb. Just you can have a connection, metal connection you can have. But initially we had the temperature for this portion is 100 degrees Celsius, and for this portion we had the temperature 200 degrees Celsius. But if you allow the two parts connected, here we have some connection in between. Where is my mouse? Okay, here is a connection. So if you have the connection, in that case the heat will flow from this one to this until it becomes equilibrium, because this portion has the heat or temperature very high and this portion has low. So always we know that heat flows from high to low. So if the container in the left side has the temperature or heat very high and right side is low, therefore it will automatically transfer heat from high portion to low portion. That means that is a spontaneous process. But if you want to get the heat from this side to that is not natural. You need to use some energy. You need to apply some energy so that some heat can flow from this side to that side. So from left to right, that is spontaneous, and from right to left, that is non-spontaneous. Similarly, if you have a two container of gas, two container of gas, one cylinder or one container is full with gas and another part is empty. So if you open the valve here, if you open the valve, then some of the molecule will move through the valve, that means the connection, to come to this chamber, and the pressure, that means the this side initially the pressure was very high, and when it expands to the whole both the containers, in that case, that means if you open the valve, automatically you don't need to apply any energy or any other thing, just you need to open the valve. That will help you to expand the gas. So that is very simple example, and that is a spontaneous process. But if you want to have the, maybe we may have couple of molecules, maybe 2 3 or 5 molecules, or very small number of molecules in that side initially. So if you want to take that molecules to the left, that is naturally impossible, but that may be possible by applying some external force or external energy. So from this all of this figure, I wanted to make you understand some process which needs some energy to perform, and some process do not need anything. That means it can happen by itself. So that process are considered as spontaneous, and the process which is no required, which required some energy from the outside, that is considered as non-spontaneous. So let's see what is a spontaneous process and non-spontaneous. A process which proceeds by itself. That means you don't need to do anything, you don't need to perform, or you don't need to apply some energy, so that it can proceed by itself without any assistance from outside, is termed a spontaneous or natural process. The reverse process, which does not proceed on its own, as we have shown here, if you want to climb, then you need to use your body energy, that means some mechanical energy, or sometime you can use some climbing rope or any other thing, but in that case you need to apply some energy to climb up. So that is the external work or external, the reverse process which does not proceed on its own is referred to as non-spontaneous or unnatural process. That means this process is not happening naturally. I will give you an example. Uh, if you have a glass of ice, just take out some ice from the uh, refrigerator and put into a glass. In that case, the ice is melting. That is very simple, is it? If this is a spontaneous process or non-spontaneous process?
Spontaneous.
Okay. Later I will discuss you something that is a spontaneous process, but that is not exothermic. Melting, uh, till today, before learning about the entropy, we know that any reaction which produces heat, that is spontaneous or exothermic reaction. That means if any process is exothermic, that is spontaneous. But melting ice is a spontaneous process. However, that is not exothermic. That is very unusual, is it?
Yes, sir.
Yeah. Melting ice and also the evaporation. You are familiar with the word evaporation? Not the boiling.
Yes, sir.
Not boiling. Evaporation, that means just if you put a glass of water for a couple of days or maybe couple of weeks, after that you will feel or you will see that a level of the water has been gone away. You didn't heat. That means the temperature of the water didn't go up to 100 degrees Celsius. However, there is some water has been gone away. So where does it go? Just that is the process. At room temperature or normal temperature, the water or some liquid can escape from the surface of the liquid. That is known as evaporation. But boiling, the you need to heat, and then when the temperature of the molecule or liquid rises to the boiling temperature, it boils up to get the mm, vapor or gas. That is different from the evaporation. So the evaporation process also is spontaneous, and also this is another endothermic process. Later we will show or we will learn why these are spontaneous, however they are endothermic, again they are spontaneous. So for these types of process we need to learn another term, entropy, and that is one of the very important topic of this chapter. So first we have learnt about the process, that spontaneous process and non-spontaneous process. That means if the process need any energy from the outside or need any assistance from the outside, that is considered as non-spontaneous. And if you do not need, or if the process do not need any assistance from the outside, it can happen or it can proceed by itself, that is known as natural process or spontaneous process. Criteria of spontaneity: what are the conditions? If the conditions follow, then we can consider the system can be as, say, the system as spontaneous. A spontaneous change is one way or unidirectional. That means a spontaneous change, it can go only in one direction. That means if you have some water, it can go down, it can never go up by itself. You need to use some motor or some by other force so that the water can be taken to the top. But the spontaneous change, that means the water flowing to the base or flowing to the bottom, that is a spontaneous process. That means any spontaneous process is always unidirectional. So here we have shown the figure. Once the temperature of this system becomes equivalence, that means in equilibrium, if the system is in equilibrium, then there is no transfer of heat. Here it was 200 degrees Celsius, here it was 100 degrees Celsius. So at the middle, that means at equilibrium, both the temperature became 150 degrees Celsius. That is theoretically, but actually it may not. It can have about 140 degrees Celsius for both of them. But we may not get 150 degrees Celsius, but we may get, because if the amount of substance for this one is little less, in that case even we can get little bit more temperature, 160, that is also possible. But it should be in between 200 and 100, not either above 200 or below 100. That cannot be. So it should be in between 200 and 100. So once the system is in equilibrium, once the system is in equilibrium, in that case there is no flow of heat or spontaneity. There is no spontaneity. Just a spontaneous change is a unidirectional. A spontaneous change is one way or unidirectional. For reverse change to occur, work has to be done. So if you want to perform in reverse way, that means non-spontaneous process, in that case you need to perform some work. For a spontaneous change to occur, time is no factor. That means it can happen for immediately with a fraction of second, or it can happen for a long time. It can be a year or more than year or a era or whatever. Time is not a factor. So for a spontaneous change to occur, time is no factor. A spontaneous reaction may take place rapidly or very slowly. Anything is happen, anything possible. So it can be rapidly or spontaneous or just instantly, or it can take very long time. If the system is not in equilibrium state, unstable, that means anything, any system, if it is not in equilibrium with respect to surroundings, then it is expected some spontaneous change. That means everything in the universe has some tendency to reach at the equilibrium. So until the system is in equilibrium state, there is expected to have some spontaneous change. The change will continue till the system attains the state of equilibrium. So the change will attain the state until when the equilibrium is gained. Therefore no movement or spontaneity will be removed, or there will be no spontaneous process. Once a system is in equilibrium state, it does not undergo any further spontaneous change in a state if left undisturbed. That means if the system is in equilibrium, that means after certain time, that means after some spontaneous process, the equilibrium reached. Therefore if the system is in equilibrium, and in after that, if you do not change any of the parameters, in that case it will remain forever in that equilibrium state. So once a system is in equilibrium state, it does not undergo any further spontaneous change in a state if left undisturbed. To take the system away from the equilibrium, some external work must be done on the system. So if you want to destroy the equilibrium, if you want to disturb the equilibrium, you need to supply some external force or work to the system. A spontaneous change is accompanied by decrease of internal energy or enthalpy. That is one of the very interesting or important thing. A spontaneous change, as already we have mentioned, that everything in the universe, everything in the universe tends to go in their minimum energy state or minimum energy position. So what is that? The spontaneous change is accompanied by decrease of internal energy or enthalpy. So if you have a system, if it has some high energy, it will always try to change the energy to the lower state. So a spontaneous change is accompanied by decrease of internal energy or enthalpy. Okay, here you can see some figures related to this. So this is a reaction scheme. This figure, this scale, that means this x-axis can be considered as reaction coordinate or reaction progress. Reaction coordinate, and this is the energy. I think you are familiar with these types of figure. So here this is our reactant and this is our product. That means if the energy of the reactant is higher than the energy of the product, that means if the reaction proceeds, then it will produce some energy. So these types of reaction or these types of system can be considered as exothermic. Left side, this one can be considered as exothermic because the change in energy, here I have shown you that this red arrow which represents the change in energy of the reactant and the energy of the product, that is considered as delta H. That means if the reaction proceeds, this much energy you will get. But to happen the reaction, you need to apply some energy. How much? From here to here. This is the energy barrier. Energy barrier, that means normally many types of reactants or many molecules are stable, but if you apply some energy, that means to proceed a reaction you need to overcome some energy barrier. So that is the reaction barrier or activation energy. So if I show you, that means from here, if you do not provide the energy at least from here to this level, that means this is the barrier, so you need to provide some energy more than this barrier. That means if you want to cross a hill, you need to have some energy so that you can cross the hill. So you need to have some food and some water, whatever you need to apply some energy so that you can cross the hill. So actually the delta H, that means change in energy, is calculated by the energy of the product minus energy of the reactant. So here you can see that the energy of the product is less compared to the energy of the reactant. Therefore, when the product is formed, additionally we will get, when the product is formed, at the same time we will get the energy that much. That means the difference between the energy of the product and energy of the reactant. So these types of reaction are considered as exothermic, and at the same time we can consider as a spontaneous process. But if we consider the reaction is just reverse, other way, if the energy of the reactant is lower compared to the energy of the product, in that case the reaction do not proceed spontaneously. So that reaction is endothermic, because you can consider the change in energy is calculated by the energy of the product minus the energy of the reactant. So here you can see the energy of the product is higher and the energy of the reactant is low. Therefore if you subtract the value, this energy to this energy, then you will get a positive value. Therefore this process is considered as endothermic, and also at the same time we can consider that is a non-spontaneous process. So non-spontaneous process and a spontaneous process in terms of reaction. Now already I have mentioned one thing. This is a bowl full of water. Up to this we have a bowl full of water. Now if you put certain time or after couple of days or couple of weeks, you can see the level of the water has been decreased. Here we had up to the top, just at the end of the bowl. Now after couple of days or couple of weeks, you can have the level of the water has been decreased. So or the level of the water go down. So we had some water here. Where it gone? We didn't put any heat to the system. So automatically it has been gone or it has taken away. So here you can see, if you put some heat, that means to get the temperature, to boil the water, you need to have the temperature 100 degrees Celsius. But here maybe the room temperature is around 25, or sometime it can be 35 degrees Celsius or 37 degrees Celsius, whatever. So we did not raise the temperature up to 100 degrees Celsius. However, lot of water molecule went liquid to gas, converted from liquid to gas. That is another spontaneous process. But how? To know that the internal energy. So to know that, we need to know some other property. Here we have seen that if the reaction is exothermic, if the reaction is exothermic, then we can consider that is a spontaneous process, and other way, if the reaction is endothermic, that is non-spontaneous process. But this reaction or the system is also spontaneous. It is happening by itself. You don't need to apply any energy from the outside. Just keep it at the environment or at room temperature. You don't need to heat up. You don't need to go up to 100 degrees Celsius. But spontaneously the water will evaporate, or water will escape from the container. So to know this phenomenon, we need to learn about another term. For many days, scientists have tried to think about the temperature is still below the boiling temperature. Then how it can escape, or why it is happening spontaneously. So to learn or to know the reason behind this, we have to, or scientists have introduced another term, entropy. And we will learn that it implies that the only such reactions occur which are exothermic. For this one, if the reaction is spontaneous, it will happen only if the reaction is exothermic. So okay, almost time is over. So if the reaction is exothermic, then it can be considered as spontaneous. It implies that only such reactions will occur which are exothermic, but the melting of ice and evaporation of rainwater or any water. Melting of ice and evaporation rainwater are endothermic process which proceed spontaneously. Clearly, there is some other factor in addition to delta H. That means here the reaction is exothermic and delta H is negative, so the reaction can be considered as spontaneous. But always you don't need to think about that. If the delta H is negative, then it will be always spontaneous, or if the delta H is positive, in that case it would be non-spontaneous. Not always. So clearly there is some other factor in addition to delta H which governs spontaneity. It is the second law of thermodynamics which introduces this new factor, that is called entropy. So hope in the next class we will learn about the entropy, and if you have some interest, I have introduced the entropy but I didn't define or I didn't explain very well. So if you have some time, you can have a look over your book or some other resources, internet or YouTube. So we will learn about the entropy and many other things regarding this in next class. And this is the end of today's class. Thank you very much. If you have any question or comments, you are welcome.